This canyon is so beautiful, isn't it? I mean, look at all the mountains surrounding us here. Every time I ride on this road, it makes me think of Elizabeth Smart. We are coming into the small town of Lakeside, which is about 20 miles east of San Diego. And what a place to get stuck. I don't know, some of you may remember back in June 2002, there was a 14-year-old girl named Elizabeth Smart who was abducted by this wacko who was like a self-proclaimed prophet, Brian David Mitchell. His wife was Wanda Barzee. She lived in Salt Lake City, Utah, and this guy scoped the house out, and broke into their house at night, held a knife to her throat, and said, "Don't make a sound or I will kill you. I will kill everybody in your family." He took her up to his campsite in the hills above their home, and for the next 9 months she was his captive. And when the first night that she got there, he did some like weird ceremony where he then proclaimed her as his wife, so now he has 2 wives. And then he raped her, and then for the next 9 months he raped her repeatedly, several times a day, and every single day for the next 9 months. They both abused her horribly, tied her to a tree like a dog. She barely got enough to eat, barely got enough water to survive in the heat. She was they forced, over the course of the 9 months, they forced alcohol, drugs, and all kinds of things on her. And keep in mind, this is a 14-year-old girl. She was a virgin. She was a good girl, a devout Mormon, very close to her family. And she didn't do drugs. She didn't drink alcohol. And they forced all this on her. And the reason why I say this place reminds me of her, because near the end of the 9 months, but right before she was captured, him and his freak wife came down here and made another campsite over here in the mountains. And all this time, also, there was a search out, and this guy made her and his wife wear these robes, these weird robes, and a veil covering their faces, so that nobody would recognize her. She wasn't going to let him break her spirit. She kind of tried to convince him to take them back up to the Salt Lake City, Utah area, hoping that somebody would recognize her, because she was just afraid for her life. She was afraid she was going to die with these 2 freaks and never get to see her family again. So she made a promise to herself that no matter what, she was going to keep on trying to survive and keep on making sure and looking for the good in everything, to keep going and keep her spirits up. What she did was she focused on what she called little miracles all along the way, and every little good thing that happened, whether it was some small thing like a glass of water that appeared next to her out of nowhere, like a little miracle when she desperately needed some water, or just the fact that maybe he unchained her leg from the tree, or like she heard her relatives calling for her in the woods one time, and again he held the knife to her throat and said, "Don't say anything or I'll kill you, kill your family." She knew that she was going to see her family again. That's what she kept in mind. He had a search warrant out for him too, but he was not wearing any kind of veil over his face. So they went to a Walmart, and somebody recognized him, called 911, and the cops came and saved her. So, amazing story, and very inspirational story. She wrote a book called My Story, and where she talks about it, she doesn't focus on all the gritty details because that wasn't her purpose. If you've got good health, if you have health care, if you have a bit of change in your pocket, a little bit of money, if you have a home, if you have food on your table, if you have a job, if you have a marriage with a great spouse, you have a lot more than most people in the world. There's always somebody that's worse off. But and it is easy to get stuck in this mindset that where all you think about is the negative stuff. You have to focus on the good things that you do have. For me, I try to find any little thing, just like she did. Like both my legs are working, cool. My arms are working, cool. I have a bike that's great, cool. I have a home, house, a roof over my head, food in the kitchen. I've got, great family. I can breathe. Everything's good. That's what I have to do. And that's just like a little tidbit about me that, I don't know, maybe it'll help somebody out there. She went on to start the Elizabeth Smart Foundation, which helps other victims or victims of abuse like that. Just help get them the care that they need or whatever they need. And she also helps with the Amber system, which helps send out the Amber Alerts for missing kids sooner than later, which I think, nice, go through a red light, which I think the first 2 to 4 hours are the most important time after a kid has been abducted. Anyway, that's my little inspiration for me. And everybody, ride safe. Keep your head on a swivel. As Super B says, head up 100%. I can barely talk. I'm just so overheated right now. I have sweat literally dripping off my face. Literally. It's like plus 100 degrees. And I'm just absolutely fried. But hey, there's people worse off than me. There's people worse off than me right now. I've got it pretty good. I'm on my bike, and I'm having a fantastic time, even though I'm hot and sweaty. I got a nice air-conditioned home to go home to, and a nice cool garage to put my bike in. And I get to ride tomorrow, because I'm not working tomorrow.